Oh yeah, we are live. Or I might already have been live for a little bit. Oh jeez, my mic sounds like trash. Hello? There's a really bad mic. Um, let me get my headset mic and see if that'll fix it. Okay, headphones are required.
Okay. Okay. I have a mic again. Let's see if it still sounds bad. Sorry for the, I don't know what you want to call it, unpreparedness of myself is, but okay. Audio sounds fine. So, hello one, hello all, to an awesome live stream today. So, as you can see, oh wait, let me get my badge too. I'll wear my badge. Get the real FantasticFest fit going again. So, hello everyone. Been a while since I have um done anything, but I did something really cool about 2.5 weeks ago. I think it is now. Um, I went to FantasticFest, which is a film festival down in Austin, Texas, at the Alamo Draft House down there. Excuse me, and yeah, it is what is called a genre film festival where you get to see a ton of movies. Like I have 36 movies to talk about here today. I saw 36 movies. Well, technically 35 movies and 3 episodes of a TV show, but I thought it was going to be a 36th movie because I'll explain later. Um, so yeah, it was an 8 day long festival. Pretty much watched 5 movies a day for 8 days straight. Um, so yeah, I went pretty hardcore with it. It's a ton of world premieres, U.S. premieres, international premieres. So like some of this stuff I got to see weeks ago. Like I got to see Terrifier 3 at the world premiere in the theater with the actor of Art the Clown, David Howard Thorne, and the actor of Sienna, Lauren Lavera, director Damien Leone, was sitting 2 rows behind Art the Clown and Sienna watching Terrifier 3, which oddly enough releases today, and I'm gonna go see it in a few hours with my dad. Cause yeah, he's pretty upset that I saw this movie without him. But hey, getting to see something that's world premiere is pretty freaking cool. So I got to see that. I got to see Heretic, which doesn't release till November. I got to see Anora, which I think comes out next week. I got to see Saturday Night, which releases this week. Um, and just a ton of other stuff. A lot of this stuff I had no idea what it was, wasn't even on my radar, and that was kind of the cool thing about the festival for me, right? Is that I watch a ton of movies as is, right? I think I've seen like 170 new releases this year, which is insane. A lot with I'd only be like 130 something, but then I got 36 of them right here in the span of a week, so that boosted my number quite a bit. Um, but yeah, it was just so cool to see all this stuff I would probably have never seen, never heard of. That was really the cool part of the festival for me. And then also you just get to meet a ton of people. Like I met someone from San Francisco I was talking to a lot, met someone from Oregon I was talking a lot. I do a lot someone from Kentucky or Tennessee. I think it was Kentucky, Louisville, I think is where he's from. Talking to him a lot. Met a lot of people from the Austin area, met someone from Ohio, met someone from Georgia, like just a ton of people you just meet up with, and you're just at this theater all week, bumping into each other, talking about movies, and it's awesome, right? So I had an absolute blast at the festival. I certainly want to go next year. I want to try to go to other festivals too, but absolutely loved my time at Fantastic Fest. It was an absolute blast to go. Um, and so that's pretty much why I want to do this live is talk about all the movies I got to see, and then just share some of the fun stories from the festival that I have too. So yeah, that's essentially what this live is just me talking about Fantastic Fest. Woo woo. Yeah. See the one there. I've only been going. It's my first year, so got a Fantastic Fest shirt. Got your badge you wear all week there to get into movies because I scan this QR code. But yeah. Um. So on top of all that too, you also just get to meet a ton of celebrities and stuff, right? At these festivals. So like literally, because there's no lobby at this theater. It's like it's just like a hallway with theaters on it. And so everyone's standing outside under these tents, I don't, gazebos, I think maybe. I don't know what they're called. You know what I'm talking about, like the tailgating tent things. I don't know if there's a specific term for that, but anyways, they just have those set up outside, and so you just bump into all these people. Like between the opening film of the festival, Rule of Jenny Penn, and the second film, Never Let Go, that Halle Berry movie, I was just standing there and I bumped into someone. I'm like, oh, sorry, and I'm like, sorry. Turned around and apologized. I'm like, are you Elijah Wood? And he's like, yes, I am. I'm like, holy shit, I just bumped into Elijah Wood. That was pretty cool. I got to meet Corey Feldman, met Mike Flanagan, and got to talk to him about The Exorcist because he took over after Believer tanked. So I talked to him about that for a little bit. Um, What else did I meet? I met everyone from Terrifier. That was really cool. And then the ones that I really wanted to talk about today, and I actually have pictures of it. I met these two awesome gentlemen. The one on the left is Sean Chandler, and the one on the right is Cody Leach. They are like my two favorite YouTubers. They do movie reviews and stuff on YouTube. I've been watching Sean for like 7 years and Cody Leach for like 4 years. So that was just so cool to get to meet them at the festival. And then like I went up to them on the first night, met them. So like, hey, I'm a huge fan of your channel. I've been watching you guys for years and stuff. And then just throughout the festival, because you're outside, you just bump into them. You just get to talk to them the whole time. And yeah, they were super nice and awesome to talk to. And actually, after the closing film of the festival, Mr. Crockett played. Sean uh, came up to me and said, "Hey, nice to meet you," and just asked me what my favorite movie of the festival was. So that was really awesome. So yeah, they're incredible. Loved meeting them, and I told them that they were like the nicest people ever, and that you always hear like those horror stories of like never meet celebrities or whatever because maybe they're assholes, but nah, these two gentlemen were incredible. So they'll probably never watch this shit, but figured I'd give them a shout out because they were so incredible, and watching their videos means so much to me. So they were awesome human beings. Anyways, whew, let's get on with the ranking of all 36 movies I saw at Fantastic Fest. So honestly, besides the bottom two are movies that like. Literally, the just spoiler alert: the bottom movie, my number 36, is the worst movie I've seen all year, and I'll get into that. I didn't really care for number 35, and then number 34 through 33 weren't like I could see where someone would enjoy it. They just weren't for me. Everything else I enjoyed. So it's a pretty good batting average when, for the most part, I really didn't. I don't think the bottom two were all that great. Everything else I thought you like. Excuse me. If it's your type of deal, you could enjoy it all to some stuff that's in my top of the year. So hopefully, going through this list, I'll add some stuff on your radar. Um, Maybe make some of it on your radar, so that way, if it sounds interesting to you, you can go check it out. Because that's kind of the cool part of the festival, right? You get to see all this stuff early, and then you're supposed to go and like tell people like, "Hey, this is really good. Go and check this out. It's kind of your thing," or "This wasn't my thing, but this is like the audience it is for." So that's kind of what's cool about these festivals, right? Because we all came out of like Terrifier 3 and everyone was like giving it all these great reviews and stuff, and it was like building that momentum up into the initial release. Well, I guess last night when they did that double feature thing, but yeah, pretty cool. So, anyways, we will start this off with number 36. Not only my least favorite film of the festival, but just my least favorite movie of the year, and that's going to be Baby Invasion. Um, and I I need to preface this too. I watched this at 11 p.m. at night, and it's a very nauseating film for me. It is the only film in my memory I can think of that I thought of actually walking out of because it was making me like physically ill. I thought I was going to vomit. Like, no, like I had a headache. I was tired. I had a raging headache. I didn't think I was gonna make it through the movie, but I did. Thankfully, it's only like an hour 20 or something. You know, it's not super long, but it made me so sick. Um, that like not even the talking about like like not on like an artistic value. Like, oh, that's gross in the movie. No, just like the movie itself, because it's all in a first person point of view type thing, which in VR, because I have a VR headset, I can't play games in first person where you're moving around because it just gives me a headache. But if it's like a stationary game, then I can play that. And so you're in this first person VR game essentially in this movie where it's like GTA, but everyone has a baby face. And so you're just following these people, or not these people, well, it's like a group of people, I guess, like a gang, doing like a heist or something, like they're doing GTA missions. But the whole time it's flashing neon lights, and there's this voice going, "The rabbit is in the house. The rabbit is in the," just like that for an hour and 20 straight with booming dubstep music. Like 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 that just gave me such a headache. And there's no story to this. It's just an experience. And so that is why it's my least favorite thing that I've seen all year. Is just because there's I don't understand who this is for. I don't understand like why this exists, because it's just an experience. It's not necessarily a film because there is no story, and it just made me physically ill is essentially why. So not I don't know, like like I've seen some pretty shitty movies this year, but they didn't make me sick. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't give me a headache. They didn't make me want to turn them off and or walk out of the theater just because I was had such a bad headache from watching them. So unfortunately, we got to start off super negative there. So I did not enjoy that movie whatsoever, and I don't know who I would recommend that to because I don't understand who it's for. But like there were like people in my theater, the dude sitting next to me was loving it, laughing the whole time, and I'm just like, I don't understand what's funny about what just happened. The dude in front of me and to a couple seats to the left, movie got over, he stood up and started applauding, and I was like, "What?" Like, what? Just like I didn't understand. Like, so I don't know. Hey, if it's for you, that's great, but not for me, and I don't know how to recommend this movie to people. What's even weirder too is at this festival, you have a ton of talent and stuff show up. The directors of movies show up to introduce their film. The director of this movie showed up to introduce the film wearing a baby mask, playing a song on YouTube on his phone, and just stuck the mic here and just played a song and just started like dancing like this in front of the audience. And that was his introduction to the film. It was so odd. So, but yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the festival, so yeah. Coming in 35th place is going to be this movie Steppenwolf, which I believe this is a Kazakhstani movie. I hope I'm saying that right. A movie from Kazakhstan. Essentially, you have this. It. I watched this movie at 11 a.m. one day, and this movie is so nihilistic and bleak and just like unforgiving and relentless. So it wasn't the right time of day to watch this, but it's just not enjoyable, I didn't think. You have this guy who's I don't know what the correct terminology is, but he's like a policeman who goes into interrogation rooms and like use very brutal tactics to get information out of people. So he's like a very brutal, unforgiving human being. But then like these terrorists come and like take over the police compound, and then he like kills them all and then just starts wandering around with this woman trying to find her son, just killing everyone in his path. And that's essentially the whole film. And there's and when I said like this movie's super nihilistic, spoiler alert, but there's this point at the end of the film when they like attack a convoy to try and find her son, and he's killed all the terrorist people, whatever. And he goes and opens this like van, like opens the back door, and there's like a mother and her children like cowering in there, like of fear because they just hear a bunch of gunshots. And this guy opens the door. He just looks at him, and then he like tosses a grenade in there and then shuts the door just because, and just kills this woman and her children. It's like, what's like, why? Like, it's just so unnecessary and unpleasant to watch, and that's kind of the tone of the whole movie. And so I didn't really enjoy this one whatsoever, and so I yeah, I don't really know um who this movie is for either. So these bottom two are really the only two films at the festival I would say I just flat out did not enjoy, that I didn't think were very good, and I don't really know who to recommend them to. Everything else I had a decent enough time with to some of my favorites of the year. Number 34, and this is probably my hottest take of the festival because everyone else that saw this movie loved it, and that is Bookworm. You have Elijah Wood like reconnecting with his estranged daughter, and they go out to find this panther that no one's ever taken a picture of for a sum of money, right? Like, and they're trying to bond the whole time. So many other people said that this was their favorite film of the festival, or their top three, and it's my bottom three. 'Cause it just wasn't for me, right? To me, this movie is way more. I don't know. This movie appeals more to like, for me personally, I think this is more appealing to families and children type movie, and that's not necessarily what I am interested in going to see, right? Like, I don't go see a ton of kids movies. I'll go see a few animated movies every year, but not like I don't go see kids movies just because they don't interest me. I don't give a shit about them. So it was just kind of very low brow humor. I thought wasn't um super into what I wanted to see at this festival, I guess. I wanted to be here more for like the cool horror ideas, the wacky sci-fi ideas, and this one was just kind of a straightforward movie. I think is what I'm trying to say, where it's just these characters trying to reconnect and go on this journey together. So I don't know. It just wasn't really my thing. Well, a lot of other people loved it. So okay. Number 33, and this is one of the bigger disappointments of the festival for me. One of the biggest ones. The Draft. This is I believe, an Indonesian horror film where essentially these characters go to, I don't want, it's not a cabin, but like a secluded house in the woods, and they realize that they are characters in a horror movie that's still being written. And so they're trying to survive and outsmart the writer of the movie who's writing the draft. And so it gets very meta, um, which is also which is like its biggest strength, but also its biggest weakness. Because that's what the movie's trying to do. Be this fun meta horror comedy thing. But for me, it went too far into being meta. Um, there's the characters essentially realize that they're in this movie, and then they're like, "Oh, whatever we say, and we have our own thoughts, the writer has to write that, and then it comes true." And so there's certain scenes where like someone will die, and then they're like, "Oh wait, they didn't die," and then like they're back, or they'll be like, "Actually, this is something I remember in my past," and then it like rewrites the whole movie essentially, and then characters are just brought back from the dead a bunch, and so it was very confusing because I see someone die in a movie, I'm like, okay, they're dead. And then like a few scenes later, they were just brought back, and this was also one of the 11 a.m. movies, and so I was tired, and so I was very confused. I'm like, am I drifting in and out of sleep right now? And so, yeah, there were some gags that were really funny. I wasn't too fond of how the movie ended, but um, overall, it was a decent movie. I wouldn't say it's bad. It just it didn't quite operate on my wavelength, and I thought it went a little bit too far in some of its meta ideas. Ooh, number 32, Better Man. The trailer for this movie dropped after I saw the full movie at the festival. Um, this one's a weird story. So at this festival, they have this thing called secret screenings, right? Where you sign up for this time slot. Like the secret, it just says secret screening. You sign up for it. You go. You sit down in the theater. Theater's filled out. Festival director comes out and tells you what you're watching. Like you don't know what you're gonna see. They tell you what you're gonna watch. Then the movie starts playing. And so and so it wasn't the festival director for this one, but it's like one of the festival door people, the people that run the festival, all that fun stuff. She comes out and starts dancing around, and so everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna see Joker too." And then she's like, "Yeah, so the name of this movie is Better Man, and it's got a monkey in it." And we're like, "What?" And so then there's this little video from the director and Robbie Williams, who is a um pop star in the UK, I believe. He was in a boy band, and then he went off and did his own thing in like the 90s and early zeros, I believe. No one in that theater knew who this was. And so they come onto the screen and they're like, "Yeah, we made this it's a music biopic about Robbie Williams here, but he always says that he's a monkey, and so he's a CGI monkey in this movie. It's and so that's what the movie is. It is a musical biopic of Robbie Williams, this guy that I've never heard of and that barely anyone at this festival has ever heard of, played by a CGI ape, aka Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movies. What a wild and crazy concept. And to its credit, it is a it's a well-made movie, don't get me wrong. Um the biggest things about this movie that knocked it pretty far back from me in this list. One, it is your typical music biopic movie. It is, it's your Bohemian Rhapsody, it's Rocket Man. Early this year, we got that Amy Winehouse one, Back in Black, where person becomes famous, start doing drugs, goes to rehab, the end. You know, um, except except he's a monkey in this movie, and that's my other negative thing is the monkey thing. They never address it in the movie. The movie just plays. They never say anything about it anywhere in the movie. No one acknowledges it. No one makes a funny joke about it. Nothing. It's just there. And so I'm very curious for when this movie comes out. 'Cause I think it comes out on Christmas or January. Like you'll see it in a few months. I'm curious how this will play because what if someone just went to go see this movie and they had no idea there's going to be a monkey and then they never address it? That's like the weirdest part to me. Like, excuse me, if they had never had that director intro there, then no one in our theater would know why he's a monkey. And so it's just a very odd movie that I'll be honest, I would not have gone seen at this festival if it wasn't the secret screening and I was already sitting there. Um, Probably wouldn't have seen this one. I yawned. I'm tired. I stayed up late last night playing Fortnite with my friends, so that's why I'm tired right now. Ah, number 31, House of Spoils. So, kind of going back into how this festival works, right? They play movies essentially in two rounds. You can get two type of badges. You can get badges that are for the full festival, or you can get badges that are for second half of the festival. So everything that plays in the first half of the festival plays in the second half of the festival. So what you kind of do, I guess, is everyone discovers movies in the first half, and then the second half is everyone like you need to see this, you need to see this, and then you go see that. So I didn't see this until the closing day of the festival. So the second half. Everyone else had pretty much seen this movie. And everyone described this movie to me as The Menu meets The Witch. And I was like, what? Those movies are like so tonally different. Or not tonally different, but like you have a Robert Eggers film mixed with like a foodie dark humor film. And I was like, how do you mix those? And that could not be a better description of this movie. You essentially have, I think how you pronounce her name is Ariana DeBose, is a chef that goes to start her own private practice, if you can even call it that in the cooking industry. Um, and she gets this place, I think in uh like New Orleans, Louisiana, and this building has like is like haunted and like cursed by witchcraft. And so she has to use the witch's ingredients to make food, otherwise all her food gets like moldy or infested and stuff like that. And it just took this movie way too long to get going, and I didn't think it was fully satisfying the way it wrapped up. Um, and so it, it was it fun? Sure. Did I dislike watching it? No. Excuse me again. But if I want it's like if I want to see this type of movie, I could just go watch the things that I feel like it was taking its inspiration from, right? Sorry. So, I think this comes out on no, not Hulu, Prime. It might already be out on Prime. It was a decent enough watch. I Ariana DeBose always does good in everything she's in, so that's pretty cool. Um, it just there wasn't enough of the horror aspects in there that I was hoping for, I guess. So, oh well, I don't really have a whole lot to say on that one. It's just kind of there. And now we hit the sorry, I am yawning today. Jeez. I'm not having caffeine today. That's issue number one in life. Now we hit the point where I'd go positive on all these things. So these are all things from here on up are all movies I enjoyed. I'd be like, cool, and I'd recommend to people. I would consider them to be a good movie, or let me rephrase that. Consider them to be movies I enjoyed watching. Number 30 is going to be Try Zombie. I believe this is a Dutch film, or I think it's Dutch, um, where you have this zombie outbreak, and there's this home for people with Down syndrome, um, and the like residents, the people with Down syndrome, are trying to survive the zombie apocalypse because in the zombie rules here, they can't get infected by airborne zombie infections because they have a different number of chromosomes. That's literally the explanation they gave in the movie, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But they can still get bitten, um, and then they can become zombies. The movie is very funny. Um, it is it's a pretty fun zombie flick. Um, it I, I don't know how to say this. It's a very cute movie. There's a lot of the humor is very well written. Um, it it's this it's a very simple journey, right? Where one of their friends from this home um goes off to live by herself or live with like a form of foster parents or something like that, I believe. And then the outbreak happens, and so then it's the rest of the people in the home are going to try and rescue her, and it's just about all these hijinks and stuff that come along the way. And so it was just it was just a very fun movie. I thought all these actors and actresses here were pretty fun to watch, and it was just so much fun. So my theater really liked that one. Um, it's just not one I see myself rewatching all that much. I'm not super huge into zombie films, and also considering um, it's in a different language too. Um, so a foreign zombie film, probably not something I'm gonna rewatch all that much. Like I watched Train to Busan a few years ago. Great zombie movie. Never rewatched it though, so yeah. Number 29 is Cloud. I believe this is a Chinese film. It's either Chinese or Japanese film, one of the two. I think this one's Chinese. Um, and essentially you have this guy who is basically an eBay reseller, right? Where he'll go and he'll buy all these limited edition things and then jack the price up on eBay for people to buy, and that's how he makes a living. But somewhere along the way, he gets like some faulty product or something, um, and so then he starts making some enemies, and then this group of people come after him, and then like his assistant has to come rescue him, right? Interesting story, very slow though. Um, and for what I thought was going to be an action movie, no action. There's like no action. It's just people shooting at each other. And it's not like visceral or intense. It's just pew pew pew, duck, pew pew pew, duck. So, yeah. Interesting though. I've never seen a movie about an eBay reseller dude. Interesting, just not as cool as I'd hoped it would be. Number 28, Planet B. I believe this is a French film. Um, Essentially, if I remember correctly, it, I saw so many movies; they all kind of bled together at a certain point. Um, when you get incarcerated, you go to Planet B, and it's about these resistance, like these people in a resistance, I believe, that go to this Planet B, and then this everyday person that they somehow are in contact with is trying to rescue them from Planet B or continue their resistance in the outside world. I think, if I remember correctly. Um, Interesting concept, fine enough story. Again, this one was pretty slow. And again, and since I'm honestly struggling to remember what's happening in this movie, kind of forgettable and not all that interesting of what was going on. So I don't I don't have a whole lot to say. I feel kind of bad about it now that I'm thinking about it. But I just I legitimately don't really remember what happened in this film. So sorry, but that's all I have to say on that one. Let me actually look up, make sure I Planet B movie. An activist disappears after participating in a violent protest. After being shot by a flash ball gun, she awakens in an unknown world, Planet B. Okay, yeah, essentially what I said. So maybe not resistance, but an activist, a protester. Number 27. This was another secret screening. Probably the most controversial movie at this whole festival. The Apprentice. The Sebastian Stan Donald Trump movie. So, again, this is one of those secret screenings where you don't know what you're going to watch until it starts playing. And Sebastian Stan was already at the festival for A Different Man, which you'll see later on this list. And he came out and introduced this film to us. And there were a lot of people uh, that walked out of our theaters. They didn't want to see this movie, um, just because they just don't want to. A lot of people go to festivals or go to movies to escape the modern world, escape politics and all this stuff. And so when you have a movie about a very prominent political figure, they don't want to think about that, and so they left because that's not what they came to this festival for. And I will be completely honest, I wasn't going to go see this movie just because I don't really care about whatever this movie was going to be. Because, like everyone else at the festival that walked out, I just kind of want to watch movies to escape from the real world, not have to think about that stuff. So they came out, announced it that, hey, you're gonna watch the Donald Trump movie, and so I was like, okay, I'm sitting here already. Let's see what this is. I wasn't gonna walk out because I just don't do that. Like, I guess I'm watching this now. I don't have a choice anymore. Um, and this the movie is interesting because you are seeing the essentially origin story for Donald Trump, right? That's essentially what the movie is you're seeing how he became who he is today. Um and that's what I appreciate about biopics is when you can tell this story about someone who we all know, but you tell the story about them that a lot of people don't really know. So that was interesting. I thought Sebastian Stan did a great job at getting all the Trump mannerisms down. It's very subtle at the beginning, but as you go farther along, it gets more. He's got a lot of, like the lips and stuff, and then he starts moving his hands around in certain ways. It's pretty funny, pretty spot on depiction of the man. Um, and however, um the biggest I would say thing going against this movie, just in general, is that the movie's very one-sided, right? You have this movie was made by people who don't like Donald Trump, right? And they made that very clear in the movie, right? So you're going to piss a lot of people off who are fans of the guy, and you're going to make a lot of people happy who aren't fans of the guy. And so you're just making a movie for it's like a I don't think this is the right terminology, but it kind of makes sense. You're essentially making a propaganda movie is what I heard someone call it. And I can understand when you say propaganda. It's very much like a one-sided look at someone, right? And that's what I think is the biggest downfall of the movie. Where, as we'll talk later, Heretic is another movie that has a very touchy subject of religion and stuff, right? And someone trying to disprove religion, but it's not one-sided, right? This is a movie taking a look at arguably one of the most controversial people in the world right now, right? Um, and making a one-sided movie about him. And so you're just going to alienate a lot of people. You're gonna make a lot of people pissed off. And so that's the biggest thing against this movie is just that it's very one-sided. Um, I think if you were to just make a like I was said, like the thing I really enjoyed about this movie, honestly, is learning the backstory, the origin story of Donald Trump. That was interesting to me because I don't know this guy. Like I didn't know who the hell this guy was until 2016, and so he's been alive for years before that. And so what did he do? So that was interesting to me. And if you had just made a very straightforward, non-biased movie about that, that could have been pretty cool and pretty interesting to learn all this stuff about him. So yeah. That's kind of my piece on that movie. Um, am I upset that I watched this movie now? No. But was I going to go see this movie on my own? No, because I really didn't care at all about it. Um, so did this movie anger me that I saw it? No. But I don't really know who to recommend this movie to. Um, if that makes sense, because I could be like, oh, you don't like Donald Trump. I think you would like this movie. Oh, you do like Donald Trump. You would hate this movie. So I guess that I guess I'll retract my statement where I said it's very where I don't know who to recommend this movie to, because I guess I do in a way, but um just a very odd movie to play at a film festival, especially for a secret screening. When you have a movie that there was a lot of controversy surrounding it, of like no one wanted to distribute this thing. So they just they played it as a secret screening where everyone signed up to see this movie, and then they see this movie that's super controversial. It was just odd, but whatever. I guess I've seen this movie now, so yeah. Anyway, uh, there are a lot of funny moments in the movie though, so I'll say that there are a lot of funny moments in the movie. There's this one scene that my whole audience got a laugh out of, which isn't making fun of Donald Trump at all. It's just part of the writing in the movie, where him and Maria Bakalova plays his wife, and they're in the street, and they're like confessing their love for each other. I don't know, in the street, and some dude yells at him, and Sebastian Stan, aka Donald Trump, just yells, "Fuck off!" Ah, it was so funny. That was so good. There are some funny moments in there. You also got Jeremy Strong in there, who that dude right there playing the lawyer guy, Ray Cohn, I believe was his name. I really enjoyed um I really enjoy him as an actor. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I enjoy him as an actor. So yeah. Number 26, The Severed Son. This is a uh folk horror movie about this community after the apocalypse, and about how one person in this community keeps going towards the this like demonic figure. You can see it in this poster here, that black horn devil thing, and oh, is she killing all these people? Um, I thought it was good. I'm not too big into folk horror. Um, I liked the creature design. I like getting to see our main character get railed by the creature as well. That was pretty cool. I love it when people fornicate with beasts in the woods, so that's awesome. Um, but it was good. Yeah, I'm just not big into folk horror movies. If you like stuff like Midsommar, which I'm personally not a huge fan of Midsommar. The Wicker Man. I really enjoy The Wicker Man. It's probably my favorite folk horror movie, unless I'm thinking of something else. But if you like folk horror movies, I think you would enjoy this. I don't know if and when this will get released. Probably wouldn't get a theatrical release if it'd be my guess, just because it's a very low budget. I think they said they shot this movie in 9 days. Um, so yeah. Number 25. It's going to be Little Bites. This is a vampire-esque story from Spider One, who is Rob Zombie's brother. This movie also has Heather Langenkamp cameo, and it also has Dead Meat cameo. I did not even notice that when watching the movie until I was talking to someone after the movie, like, "Yeah, did you see Dead Meat in there?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? They weren't in there." And they're like, "Yeah, they were. They were the couple in the park." And I thought about it, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So now I want to rewatch this shit to see that. It's a very interesting movie that I think is commenting on like I don't know how to say that. How to say it, but it's like a toxic relationship, right? Or where you have this vampire living in the basement of this house, and this mother's there, and she wants to have her child get brought back into the house, but she can't because there's this monster in the house. And the vampire is keeping her alive by slowly eating her, aka doing little bites, because she has bite marks all over her body where he's slowly taking pieces of her. And so the whole movie is about her wanting to get out of this toxic relationship so she can have her child come back to her home. Um, Creepy. It's a very creepy movie. Um, I enjoyed the story. The biggest thing about this movie that honestly knocked it down significantly in this list is the ending. I don't understand what they were going for with that ending, and that was the general consensus of everyone. Is what just happened? What does that mean? And so, at least I'm not alone in that, right? But if you like vampire movies, I think it's a pretty decent little fun hour and a half. So, yeah. Number 24, Frankie Frico. This movie is crazy. You essentially have this guy who calls this number in a newspaper for Frankie Frico and his friends to show up to make his life fun. And they're these little puppets, and they show up, completely demolish his house, and he he has to like learn how to have fun in his life, I think. And that's like what they're trying to do. Um it was very campy, very funny, very silly. I enjoyed it. Would I ever rewatch this film? Probably not, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It's a low budget, um I hesitate to call it a horror movie, but like a fun little comedy movie. So I enjoyed it. Probably hit streaming. Oh, I have a comment. How was Terrifier 3? Oh, you'll find out very later much. That isn't English incorrectly. You will find out what I thought about it much later in the list. We'll put it that way. I really dug it though. So, number 23, The Final Secret Screening. That's the 3 episodes of the Creep tapes, which is a continuation of the 2 Creep films on Netflix, which I've never seen, and it's hitting Shutter, I think, in November. So, at this point in the festival, people were really only happy with one of the secret screenings, which was Heretic. Your other ones were Saturday Night, which was a decent secret screening, The Apprentice, and Better Man. And so this is your 5th and final secret screening. All throughout the whole festival, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Smile 2. It's going to be Wolfman. It's going to be Nosferatu. Like, all these really cool things. To introduce this movie, they had the guy who comes out in the wolf mask from the Creep tapes, but it's a wolf mask. And so everyone, like myself, who had no idea what the hell Creep was, I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to see Lee Winnell's Wolfman 4 months early. And then, cause, and then the lady's like, we're gonna see 3 episodes of the Creep tapes. And I'm like, what is that? I was filming it, and in my reaction, I was just like, they're like Creep tapes. I'm like, what? I had no idea what this was. So I was a little disappointed, but I had fun with it. I didn't really care for episode 2. Episode 1 and episode 3 were really funny. The character that plays your killer. He's really fun. The third episode has like a running joke with Forrest Gump, which was hilarious. I was dying laughing at episode 3. So I had a decent time with it. Um, so if you like the Creep movies, I would assume you would like these. I still haven't seen the Creep movies. Since I've seen 3 episodes of the Creep tapes, I think I should go back and watch the 2 Creep movies, I believe. Um, I might get around to that eventually, but who knows? I enjoyed these 3 episodes. It's supposed to be 6 episodes. Um, so yeah, we'll see. Number 22, which is the closing film of the festival. That was Mr. Crockett. And the way this movie was described and kind of advertised on the whatchamacallit Fantastic Fest website is Mr. Crockett meets Mr. Rogers meets Nightmare on Elm Street. And I was like, sold. That sounds awesome. And then I had to wait the entire festival to watch this thing. It is very um it is very much an homage to Nightmare on Elm Street, very much so. Where you have this demonic children's show host, Mr. Crockett, who kidnaps children from bad parents and kills the bad parents in pretty gnarly ways, I will say. Uh, so, hey, I'm really tired today, I guess. Um, so very cool concept, very awesome homages. Mr. Crockett himself, best part of the movie. There's like those children's show songs which are so shitty but get stuck in your head. Um, so that was awesome. I would like to see this turn into like a little streaming service franchise. So you can see it's a Hulu original. Comes out this week or next week on Hulu. I would like to see this be a little franchise. I think they just need to tighten up their script a little bit and make it flow a little bit better and not be so jumpy around and just have conveniences in the plot. So that's that. Number 21. Never Let Go, the Halle Berry movie. Oh, that just came out, directed by Alexander Aja. And Halle Berry introduced this movie at the festival. That was pretty cool. I did not get to meet her. I got to see her though, so that was pretty awesome. And I dug this movie. Um, Not a whole lot of people at the festival really like this one. Um, it's like if you mixed Frailty with A Quiet Place. Um, it was fun. There's some twists and turns in there. All 3 of our main uh performances from these 2 young boys and Halle Berry there, they all do great. Um, I thought the creature design in this movie was pretty cool. I like the rules of this universe too. Just didn't necessarily wrap up in the most satisfying way for me. Um, and there's talks of doing like prequel or sequel. I'd be more down for a prequel to this one. I usually don't say that, but if they were to expand upon this, I would like to see them do a prequel to this. So, yeah. Number 20. Um, I don't really know what to call this movie. So, in our booklet, anywhere you look online, And when you sign up for tickets, this movie is advertised as "Don't Mess with Grandma." When you watch the movie, the title card says Sunset Superman, and the director of the movie introduced it as Sunset Superman because that's what he made his movie as. Then when Tubi got the distribution rights or whatever, they changed the title. They didn't like Sunset Superman. So I'm gonna call it Sunset Superman because that's the title card that played when I watched this movie. Um, so yeah, I'm really yawning today. Sorry, everyone. To the one person that keeps coming in and out of the stream. Um, Essentially, you have this guy who's at his grandma's house, and his grandma's getting robbed, and he's trying to defend his grandma's house from the robbers without her noticing that she is getting robbed. It's fun. It's goofy. It's campy. Not quite as good as I would hoped it would have been. So, excuse me, I burpee. I'm so out of it today on the stream. Yay! Yay! Um, this guy with the mustache, that's Billy Zane, by the way, and that's Michael Jai White. Fun fact. Number 19, Strange Harvest: The Occult Murder in the Inland Empire. Long ass title movie. This is essentially a made up story of a serial killer, but it's told in the fashion of a documentary where you have interviews from police officers that investigated the case, files, news reports, camera footage, telling the story of the serial killer. It was done very well. Very well. I didn't, complete transparency, I didn't realize it was made up until about three-fourths of the way through the movie when they introduced like a supernatural element to it. Um, so very well done. Very well done. I didn't care for the supernatural element, and I probably wouldn't rewatch this just because I'm not huge into like documentary type stuff. Um, Otherwise, it was very creepy, tense, and just very well made. Just not necessarily my sort of deal. But one of the guys I was talking to, this was his favorite film of the festival, one of his favorite movies of the year as well. So that's pretty cool. Number 18, Ick. This is a movie about essentially this high school teacher that used to be like the football star and like the cool kid, and then he had an injury, and now, like his leg, he kind of limps around and stuff, ruined his football career. So now he's kind of a loser teacher. And there's this stuff everywhere called the ick. It's just like a growing vines everywhere. And everyone just ignores it because it's not a problem, because it doesn't do anything. It's just kind of there. Then one day it turns evil and starts attacking everyone. It's a commentary on how people in the real world just kind of ignore things instead of dealing with the obvious problem, you know, because like in the movie, it is very obvious that there's like all these purple vines growing everywhere, and no one does anything about it. Like, it's whatever. That's pretty funny. There are a lot of very funny moments in this film. This movie's very funny. Brandon Routh is in this film. He's pretty good. Um, uh, what else was I gonna say? It is a PG-13 horror movie, so it's a pretty good introductory horror film for a lot of people. I enjoyed this one. My theater really enjoyed this one too. There are a lot of really good needle drops in this movie too. The director, when he introduced it, said that this is the Terrifier 3 of needle drops. So that's pretty funny, pretty cool. Um, Pretty cool. Way to describe the film. Number 17. The opening film of the festival, The Rule of Jenny Penn, the John Lithgow puppet movie. Essentially, in this movie, you have Jeffrey Rush, who he plays Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He is a judge that has a stroke and then has to go to an assisted living home because his health is deteriorating. And while there, he finds out he meets John Lithgow, who has this puppet on his hand that he calls Jenny Penn. And at night, he comes and terrorizes all the people living at this home with Jenny Penn and uh, kills people here too. Like he's a psychopath, killer, whatever. And so the whole movie is Jeffrey Rush trying to get people to believe him that John Lithgow's killing people and is terrorizing people, and no one will believe him. Then he kind of has to take matters into his own hands. The whole time his health is deteriorating and he's losing control of his body. Very interesting film, very wild film. John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush are fantastic in the film. I expect nothing less from those two gentlemen. So I enjoyed this one quite a bit more than everyone else at the festival. Um, and so I just really enjoyed this one. Um, it just was a lot of fun. It is slower. It's not as flashy um and fast paced as you would think. It's a lot more psychological than you would think as well. Um, a little bit of disappointment there, but eh, overall, I pretty much got what I wanted out of it, and I enjoyed it. Number 16, Respati. I believe this is a Japanese film. What? Ah! Water. This is a Japanese horror film where it is. Sorry, I got distracted. Um, Essentially, this kid is getting haunted in his nightmares by this demonic force, and so he meets someone that has the same thing happen to her, where she knows what's happening to him, and they have to kind of defeat this evil. Very good creature design on this demon thing. Here you can kind of see in this poster there. Very, very good design there with practical effects. Some really solid gore in there too. Really interesting lore and story going on. But I thought that one was pretty cool. Pretty kick ass. Number 15, VHS Beyond, the newest VHS film. I am not a massive fan of VHS, the franchise. I really only care for VHS 94, being completely honest. This is my second favorite VHS film. This and 94 compete for the best VHS film in my mind. The first segment of this one, called Stork, where it's a bunch of body cam footage raiding a house, might be my favorite segment in any VHS film. I loved it. I love that segment. There's a lot of stuff with aliens in this one. There's a skydiving one that was pretty cool. Um, there was a body horror one, directed by Justin Long. Um, but yeah, if you like the VHS movies, I have a hard time thinking you wouldn't enjoy this one because this one is probably the best of the bunch. I'm just I guess sorry. I guess the reason why it is number 15 and is because there was one segment, the last segment, I didn't really care for all that much. And I still just don't really care for found footage. Really just don't care for found footage movies. So the number 14. This is that movie Sebastian Stan was in at the festival. The other one, Different Man. It is an A24 film where essentially Sebastian Stan has this condition that has tumors grow on his face, and um he struggles to, I guess, find his place and struggles to be himself. Then he takes this experimental drug, and then he heals, or not heals, but all the tumors fall off. I guess sure, whatever, he heals. Um, Now he looks like Sebastian Stan, but he doesn't necessarily get anything that he's been wanting his whole life. And then he meets Adam Pearson, who is a real person that actually has that uh, tumor thing where like the tumors grow on his face, but he is confident in himself, and um, it is about being yourself is essentially what the movie is trying to tell you. No matter what you look like, just be yourself and love yourself. Essentially, what the film is trying to say. So interesting film. Would I ever rewatch this one? Probably not. Um, but I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Cool little film. Number 13. Sorry, I'm trying to speed through these now because I'm tired a little bit. A little tired. As you can see from my excessive yawning. Number 13. Apartment 7A. This is the prequel movie to Rosemary's Baby, which I had never seen until 2 days before the festival. So I didn't realize this was a prequel until 2 days before the festival. Um, I enjoyed this one a little bit more than Rosemary's Baby, I would say. Um, is it essentially the same movie? Sure. Um, but I have a tough I have a tough time getting into a lot of pre-70s movies, and I think Rosemary's Baby's like 68 if I remember correctly. Um, and so yeah, 68. And so it is it the same story? Yes. I just enjoy this version more than the original, which no one at the festival was saying. Um, they did give us a free bag of merch from this movie, so I have some socks of Rosemary's Baby now, which is cool. They gave me a little popcorn bucket, which is over there. Gave us some cookies, which is cool. So I got some cookies. But yeah, I like this one. I like it. The third movie I've seen this year about woman goes to place and gets impregnated movie behind uh First Omen and Immaculate that came out earlier this year. So I guess it's the year for that subgenre to thrive. Number 12. This was a wild one. Escape from the 21st Century. Essentially, you have these kids that fall into like this toxic waste, and then every time they sneeze, they go into their older self, and it's like a uh, and like there's bad stuff that happened in the future, and so then they sneeze again, and they come back, and then they have all this knowledge, and so then they try and like train and get muscular, and then they sneeze again, and they go back and they fight, and it's just like sneezing back and forth between these two times. Crazy movie, wild movie, insane movie. hilarious, great action. Um, I highly enjoyed this one. This was a very, very enjoyable film. It is so wild and out there that um, I don't know really how to describe it past that. It's just you just kind of have to. It's one of those movies you just kind of have to experience, you know. Um, so as someone who isn't really all that well versed in, I think this is a Chinese film of like martial arts films and stuff. This one was pretty good, pretty good. Number 11, Daddy's Head. This movie's quite possibly the creepiest film at the festival, I would say. Definitely the most tense, had the creepiest imagery, best scares. Um, Essentially, it follows the Babadook a lot, um, where this stepmom and her stepson are grieving the fact that this father died, but then this creature that replicates the head of their father on this creature's body starts tormenting them, right? And so, very creepy, very interesting creature design, very good scares. I think this one comes out on streaming today or next week. I would check this one out. If you like the Babadook, check this one out. I think it's very well done. Top 10. Home stretch. Number 10 is Ghost Killer. This is uh, pretty funny. So, in the opening scene of the movie, you have this hitman that dies. And then his spirit somehow is haunting this girl. And he wants revenge on the people that killed him. So every time she grabs his hand, like the spirit's hand, he can take control of her body and start doing all the, you know, action fighting stuff that he knows how to do. Sorry, I'm gonna itch my head real quick. Wah. And so, very cool concept and very good action. Um, my whole theater really enjoyed this one. We all dug this one. Um, so it has a lot of John Wick flavor in there, so that might be why I enjoyed it so much. I think I saw this one the same day the Ballerina trailer came out, so it was kind of a John Wick day in my mind. But yeah, that one was pretty cool. I would keep that one on your radar if you like action movies. Number 9, Bring Them Down. This is a movie about shepherds, um, two rivaling shepherd families that keep going back and forth at each other. And the movie gets told from two different perspectives, the same events from two different perspectives. Very interesting. Um, it's very reminiscent of Banshees of Inisherin, which is a very good film. I enjoyed that one quite a bit more. Um, this one kind of goes for that same thing. Um, this is one of the last films I watched at the festival. Um, I really dug it. I really dug this movie. So if you like Banshees of Inisherin, if you like Barry Keoghan, I think you'd really like this one. Not really sure when it will release, but pretty good. Also very gory. That's another thing. Okay, that's another thing about this movie. If you don't like violence to animals, don't watch this movie. 'Cause there's a lot of violence to animals in this movie. Oh, they even warned us about that before the movie started, and then some people got up and left. So, woo. Number 8, Mad S. This is a one-shot horror movie about like infection, like a viral outbreak of a disease. I thought this one was incredible. Um, just a very, very interesting take on that, on the zombie, I guess, subgenre, but it's more about like, it's more of like a rabies type thing where you get this disease and then you start like acting like an animal, right? Instead of a zombie. Um, that was really cool. It's a one take movie. And there's also like three different perspectives in your three different acts. First act is the outbreak. Second act, you follow an infected person. Third act, you follow the aftermath of everything happened. So pretty cool. Um, I'd be willing to check that one out again. Number 7, the movie I kept recommending to people at the festival, and that is Night Call. This is a French thriller where essentially that gentleman right there I showed, he is a locksmith and he gets hired to break into this house or this apartment because this lady says her keys are inside. Like she locked herself out. So he opens the door. She goes in and steals a duffel bag of cash and then runs. And while he's still trying to process what happened, the owner of the home comes back up and he then gets like swept up into this um, like criminal thing because they think, oh, he stole all the money, he broke into the house. And then he essentially has one night to prove his innocence. He has to prove that he isn't lying about the story he's telling. It's a very good thriller. The It's a very clever. My dogs are barking. Anyways, they can stay barking. Um, the biggest thing against this film is I didn't really care for the ending. The ending didn't work for me whatsoever. Um, if it had ended differently, this probably be in my top 4. I enjoyed it that much. So, I don't know how this will get distributed because it's a French film, but when it does get distributed, I would definitely check it out because it is very good, definitely worth your while. Number 6, Getaway. Theaters December 6th. Cool. This movie was introduced by Nick Frost, actually, so that was pretty cool. Essentially, this movie is this family goes to an island when they're about to have. It's like it kind of like they go to like a Wicker Man type island when they're about to do their festival, and you're not supposed to do that. And so then stuff starts happening on the island, where this family is getting targeted by this religious cult, and things take a turn about halfway through the movie that really pull the rug out from under you, and it is crazy after that. So it is very funny, as should be expected from Nick Frost. Um, very gory, and just a lot of fun. Like it was just so much fun this movie. So um, yeah, this comes out on December 6th. If you like that sort of stuff, I'd check it out. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's really funny. Number 5, Saturday Night. This this was our first secret screening of the festival, and director Jason Reitman was there. So that was pretty cool. This is essentially the 90 minutes leading up to the first airing or the first episode of the of SNL and all the crazy stuff that happened behind the scenes, right? Yeah. And I thought it was pretty funny. There's a lot of very recognizable people in this, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm not huge into SNL. By that I mean I've never watched an episode of SNL ever, and I barely know anything about SNL, so I am not the target audience, especially classic SNL, like this is going for. But if you are a fan of that, then you probably would enjoy this a lot more than me. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Um, I know people I could recommend this to, like probably my grandparents would enjoy this one. But yeah, yeah, it was fun. Fun. Number four, the biggest movie that you should keep an eye out for whenever it releases, Bone Lake. This movie was awesome. No idea what this movie was, and obviously it's one of my favorites of the festival. Um, Essentially, you have these two couples that get double booked at this Airbnb on Bone Lake, um, where then they decide, okay, we'll just split this Airbnb for the weekend or whatever. And the one couple is trying to essentially break the other couple's relationship by increasing their sexual advances on the other one. It's really fucking weird and out there. My dogs are freaking out. That's okay. We're almost done. And so it was very funny. That's the biggest thing about this movie. It's very funny. It's like Speak No Evil, it's Barbarian, um, and but horny. Um, and this movie takes a lot of twists and turns I didn't see coming. My theater loved this. I love this movie. Um, this is definitely a movie you should be keeping on your radar for when it releases. No idea when that will happen, but when it does, definitely check it out. Number three, Honora. Now, I was interested in this movie. Um, I did not expect to love this movie. This movie is hilarious. Essentially, from the trailer, what I gathered is that it is going to be kind of like, what everyone else was describing as is the Cinderella love story for sex workers. Interesting. And that's what the movie is for about the first third, or maybe even the first half. They're going crazy down there. And then it takes a turn. And then the movie is a nonstop comedy. This is one of the funniest movies I have seen this year. Um, Absolutely hilarious. And it's not forced comedy, it's not jokes, it's situational comedy where you have Mikey Madison's and Nora paired up with these like goons of this guy's uh, family who are pretty stupid, and just the way they play off of each other is hilarious. And I had to go to the bathroom during this film, and and it's like about a scene where there's this house, where they arrive to this house, and it's like a 30 to 40 minute scene, I would say. So funny. And I had to go to the bathroom the whole time. But I couldn't because I didn't want to miss this scene. Anyways, Honora Awesome comes out next week, I think. Definitely check that one out. Number two, Heretic, the third secret screening. And like I was saying with The Apprentice, when you have a movie that has a touchy subject like religion, um, you don't really, and you play it very one-sided, you tend to alienate a lot of people. This movie is very smart to where it is a religious horror movie where you have Hugh Grant's character trying to disprove someone's religion, but then you have those characters he's trying to disprove it to go against his like reasoning and stuff that he's shoving at them, his so-called evidence, right? And has them rebuttal against it, which that's what I appreciated the most. That it didn't just feel very one-sided of, oh yeah, Hugh Grant's right. Um, that's what I appreciated the most. Is a very good psychological horror movie. It's very creepy. Hugh Grant is incredible in this movie. I can't wait to go see it again. This was a lot of people's favorite film of the festival, and I understand why. I mean, it's my number two. Incredible, incredible film. Very funny as well. Um, but is a lot of this movie's success is because of Hugh Grant and how awesome he is at this movie. But coming in at number one, the movie I'm going to see again in about 5 hours. Terrifier 3. Not only was this my most anticipated film of the festival, but this just ended up being my favorite film of the festival. Look, I am a massive fan of those first two Terrifier films, and now that we have a third one, this Terrifier trilogy, and Terrifier 4, director Damien Leone confirmed it in the Q&A after the movie. So this Terrifier franchise, once Damien Leone is done with it, and Art the Clown, all this stuff is done, it has a very strong potential of being top two favorite horror franchises for me, maybe even top, like my favorite. I fucking love this franchise. I adore Art the Clown. I adore his kills. This movie is a Christmas slasher, which is awesome. Um, the shower scene, the shower scene, like, is up there for the new Terrifier kill scene to talk about. This might be the goriest one yet, which is a pretty high bar. Brutal and unrelenting. It is so dark. Art the Clown is fucking awesome in this, man. He is so sadistic, but in like a funny way. Um, the only thing that holds this movie back for me, the only negative I have towards this film, is that this one leaves off on a bigger cliffhanger than number two, to where I'm like, I want number four now. Whereas number two left things unanswered, but to me it was a completed story. Three leaves off on a cliffhanger, if that makes sense, right? To where, well, it doesn't feel like a completed story because it's a cliffhanger. Two felt like a completed story with room to grow in later sequels and answer some questions in a later sequel, which this one retroactively makes two better because all these unanswered questions, three answers for you, while still posing new questions and stuff. So only thing I would take away from Terrifier 3 is the cliffhanger aspect. Just as a fan, I'm selfish and I'm pissed that I have to wait to see where that goes for a couple years, because I just want it now. Um, Otherwise, incredible film. Loved it. Top 10 of the year for me. Probably will stay in my top 10 of the year. Hopefully, second watch tonight, I'll love it even more. But I am all there for Terrifier movies. This was my most anticipated movie of the year, and it did not live. It did not disappoint. It did not disappoint me at all. So there you have it. There's all 36 films I saw at Fantastic Fest 2024 ranked. Hopefully, I put some stuff on your radar. Hopefully, I made you excited for some movies you knew were coming out soon that you had heard of, that I can be like, hey, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty good movie. So hopefully I did that for some y'alls. If not, thanks for watching, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today. So that's it. So as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.